Greetings and welcome to my channel, My Lioness Journey. I am the lovely Lioness Nichelle. In today's video, I will be discussing with you 5 reasons why some women stay in abusive relationships, and I will be speaking from my own personal experience as a woman that has been in an abusive marriage. I am not a clinical professional, so therefore I cannot speak from that standpoint, but I will definitely be speaking from personal experiences as well as from speaking with other people that have endured this type of treatment in a relationship, and from my own research that I have done about the topic. Before I go into the reasons from my perspective, I want to share with you all some information I found on a website called Healthline. It was an article, and I have a paper here that you'll see me look down. And when they speak about domestic violence, speaking about from the aggressor or the abuser to the victim, they break it down as the cycle of abuse contained in 4 stages. The 4 stages that they list in that article online is the build-in tension, an incident of abuse, reconciliation, and then calm. And so I'm going to give you quick definitions that they gave on that website before I give you all the 5 reasons why I believe women stay in abusive relationships. Now, for the tension building during this stage, they say that that's when the abusive partners often lash out in response to external stressors. So they're at this point, they're lashing out verbally maybe, but you feel that tension building up. And they said anything can fuel this tension: family issues, trouble at work, physical illness or fatigue. And then it says frustration and dissatisfaction intensify over time, often prompting feelings of powerlessness, injustice, anger, and paranoia. The next stage would be incident of abuse or violence stage, and that's when the actual attack happens. The abuser eventually releases this tension on others, attempting to regain power by establishing control. And the abuse might involve insults or name calling, threats or harm or property destruction, attempts to control your behavior, sexual or physical violence, or emotional manipulation. So that's when the attack actually occurs during that stage. The third one is reconciliation. That's also known as the honeymoon phase. And in that one, after the incident of abuse, tension gradually begins to fade. In an attempt to move past the abuse, the abuser often uses kindness, gifts, and loving gestures to usher in a honeymoon stage. And the last one, calm, which is this one they define as to maintain peace and harmony. Both parties generally have to come up with some sort of explanation or justification for the abuse. The abusive partner might apologize while blaming others, very common for them, point to outside factors to justify their behavior, minimize the abuse or deny it happened, or accuse you of provoking them. And so those are the 4 stages of that cycle of abuse. It's just like a hamster on the wheel going round and round. So I wanted to give that information first. Number one, if you're looking at this and you're currently in that situation and you can't wrap your mind around what's going on, maybe you suspect abuse and you're not sure, or you are pretty much certain that it is, but you don't understand that you are in a cycle. You're in a cycle and it has 4 stages. Also, you may be a person watching this, you're not enduring abuse, but you are the family member, friend of a loved one that is enduring this, and you just cannot understand why this person will not leave. You wish they would leave, and you don't know how to help them. Well, this information will kind of help you understand the psychology, if you will, of this, because I always explain it, especially being that I was in an abusive relationship. When I talk about it now, I explain to people it's like being in a cult. You know, you have this cult leader that tells you if you leave, you surely will die. like you're in this cult or whatever the belief, or they're using religion or whatever they're using to keep you stuck and trapped in that. And once someone gets here, they control the whole body. So whatever is in here controls the entire body. And that's just how it is when you are in an abusive relationship. So now I'll go ahead and get started with the 5 reasons why I believe, from my perspective, in my experience, why women stay in abusive relationships. The first reason why some women stay in abusive relationships is because some women just do not know that they are actually in one. Usually when we hear about domestic violence or domestic abuse, we typically tend to think about the physical version of that, but there's so many more. And there are some women that they are in relationships with partners that are not physically abusive, but they are abusive in other ways. And because of that, the person is yelling at them or calling them out of their name. They may justify this behavior and say, oh, this is just who they are. They speak to everyone this way, or they only call me these names when they're having a really bad work day or if they overdrink. So they'll justify it, not realizing that the verbal abuse is just as well. I was actually told that verbal abuse, like, it's all terrible, but verbal abuse is worse than physical abuse. So some women, they just don't know that they are being abused. The second reason why some women do not leave these situations is because they believe the lies that are told to them by the abuser during the reconciliation phase. And during that phase is when that person will either beg or cry. That's when you hear all the justifications. When I was a kid, I saw this happen. I saw my mother get abused, and that's how I thought a man was supposed to treat a woman. Or I had too much to drink, but I'm so sorry. I'm going to stop drinking. I love you. I will never hit you again. They're crying and begging. They don't want to lose their family if y'all have a family, or they're promising to marry you. Whatever the situation is, or whatever it is that you want to hear, let's go on that trip. This thing you always wanted done to the house, let's go do that. Let's get this done. Anything to keep you there so that they can always have you there, so that cycle can go on. And a lot of times the women that are in that situation, because the person is so convincing and they love this person to the best of their ability, they want to believe them. They want to believe that, you know what, I know they said this before, but this time is going to be the last time, and I'll be able to heal, and our relationship will get better, and we'll be able to move past this. And from experience, it gets worse. The third reason why some women stay is because they think that they somehow have this magic touch or ability to change the abuser. They think that if they just love them enough, or show them enough support, that somehow if they could just be perfect, that will change the abusive person behavior. And usually during the calm phase is when the abuser may say something like, well, you know how I am when I get like this, and if you just would be quiet when I get like this, then I wouldn't do that, or you wouldn't say these things, or you wouldn't wear those type of clothes, or if you wouldn't ignore me, whatever, to always deflect from themselves and not take that responsibility, or I don't like to be alone, whatever the excuse is. And so you'll find where the victim will hear this and they'll take on the information. They'll say, okay, well, they're saying don't speak like this, don't dress like this, don't act like this. And they'll try to walk that fine line. They feel like, well, if I just be perfect for this person and sacrifice everything that I like, because yes, in a normal relationship, there is a compromise. You're going to compromise on what the two of you compromise on. And that could easily be mistaken in an abusive relationship, because there's a difference between compromising versus sacrificing yourself. And so they'll believe that if I just love them and show them that I have their back, I'm not going to leave them like the other people left them. And if they gave these stories about they were the underdog, I'm going to show them that I have their back. I'm their number one supporter. I'm going to do all these things different to keep them. Maybe if I change my ways, how I dress, how I speak, what I do, this will change them. Only to later find out that there's nothing that you can do, because even if you did all of these things, they're still not going to change. But in their mind, they really feel like they want to give that person a chance. When it's in the honeymoon phase, this person is just wonderful. We do this, or they may go places. We watch movies together. We take our trips. So I know there's a good person in there. If I could just find a way to keep that person there and get rid of the abusive person. And it's like they're all the same person, but they don't know that. They really believe that there is something that they can do to bring that person, the loving, respectful, responsible person there, and they can't. The fourth reason why some women stay in abusive relationships is because of fear. A myriad of reasons that falls under the fear category. Some of them fear what people will say. Oh my goodness, if they find out I'm in an abusive relationship that I need to get out of, they're going to talk about me and how my marriage or relationship is not working. And it's like, newsflash, they're going to talk about you. Already was talking about you, right? They're talking about you whether you stay or don't stay, or have someone, not have someone. Someone always has something to say. But you know, for some people, that's more important. Their image is really important to them, and to not be looked at in a certain light. They don't want to be seen as a failure, like I failed at this relationship. So they may fear how they may be viewed with friends, colleagues, family members. They may fear being alone. You have a lot of people that stay in relationships that are just draining them, not even just abusive relationships, but relationships that are just not serving them. But because they cannot be alone, they'll stay in that relationship because it's predictable. And it's the same with these abusive relationships. Like, well, I know what I have here. I know with this person, they're going to blow up here. I know to try to act like this and be like this. But if I go out there and if I'm single, I don't know what's out there. So I'm just going to stay here in this situation that I'm miserable. And it's tearing me apart, but it's better than the unknown. So a lot of women stay because of the fear of being alone and not having a companion. And then some of the other fears were given to them by the abuser. So the abuser may have said all types of things like, you will not be able to survive without me, or if you leave, I'm going to take the children and you will not be able to have the children. So based on whatever it is that abuser said to them is why they may be staying there, because of fear of that abuser following up or following through with the threats of whatever those threats may be. And the last reason, just last for what I have, because there are many reasons, but the last reason that I have to speak on today why some women stay in these situations is because of lack of finances. Financial abuse is very, very common and not as spoken. How am I trying to say this? Not often spoke about. It's not commonly spoken about. But financial abuse is very prevalent in situations like this. And you have women that want to get out. They are tired. They are fed up. They want to get out. But because they are either 100% financially dependent on the abuser, or they don't make enough money to leave, they'll stay in that situation and just suffer year in and year out because they do not know how to financially get out of that situation. And that was one of the things that I experienced, is the financial abusive part of a marriage. And I know I stayed in that relationship much longer than what I wanted to because of finances. And because of that, with a lot of faith and some researching, I was able to get out of my abusive marriage with little money. And I wrote a book. I wrote a book called How to Leave a Narcissistic Abusive Relationship with Little Money. my personal stories and suggestions. I wrote this book to help women like myself that are presently in an abusive relationship and you want to get out. You don't know how to get out because you feel like you lack the resources. You don't know where to start. You don't know how you will make it without this person financially. Maybe some of you have children. I wrote this book to give you tips on how to prepare yourself mentally, physically, and financially to leave your situation. And the book is available on Amazon. I have two versions of it, the paperback book as well as the Kindle. And again, I also share my personal stories. I share some personal stories in this book to show you that, number one, I am a real person that can relate. I'm not, someone that just what I heard or what I studied in a textbook. Like, I actually been through this. I understand how you may be feeling, the fear, the tired, like you're tired, you're exhausted, you're fearful. But to show you that it is possible. I am sitting here in front of you today and I am no longer in that abusive marriage. And I was not working at all. And so if you purchase the book, you'll be able to see the tips and the tools that I give to be able to help yourself to get out of that situation safely and sound. And so that way you can move on and live the life that you deserve. I hope you found the information in this video today to be insightful. Again, if you are a loved one, a family member, a friend of someone that is going through this, give them a hand, give them a word of encouragement. And maybe the hand could just be understanding, because it's when you're on the outside looking in, especially if you've never been through anything like this, be extremely grateful that you never had that. This didn't have to be a part of your story or your journey. I'm sure you may have something else. We all have our something, but be thankful. And I think the best hand you can give that person is to not judge them. It's not easy to share with family or friends or anyone that you are enduring something like this. A lot of times it's embarrassing. You feel sad, you feel hopeless. But hopefully hearing this information would give you some type of insight, so that way you could be able to exercise some type of compassion. Also, if you're watching this and you know someone that can benefit from my book, that they are presently in a situation that they want to get out of, but they don't have many resources, many financial resources, have them to, if you want to gift them this book, or like I said, it's available on Amazon, Kindle version, as well as the paperback. Or if you are the person that is enduring that, and you can find the book on Amazon. The paperback version is less than $20 and the Kindle version is cheaper. But I do thank you all today for stopping by. I would like to end this by saying that there's absolutely no excuse for abuse. I don't care what the reason is. I don't care what that person has been through. You do not deserve to be a doormat, to be slapped around, kicked around, to be spoken to in a way that is demeaning, debasing, or degrading. You do not deserve that. There is nothing that person can say to justify. You couldn't say anything more or anything less. The person that is abusing you has an issue, and they need to get some help for that issue, and there's absolutely nothing you have done or you could do to help that person. At this particular point in time, you have to do what is best for yourself, and if you have children, for your children. You have got to look out for your best interest and the interest of your children. You owe that to yourself. You did not come here to be anyone's slave or punching bag, verbally or physically. And I know that you can do it. I know that you can get out. I got out. I believe in you. I don't know you, but as a fellow soul, I love you. I am rooting for you. And if you have any questions or any way that I could assist you, and if it's just a word of encouragement, let me know down in the comment section below. I thank you all for stopping by today. Again, please check out my book on Amazon, and I will chat with you all in a new video. Bye bye for now.